Hello, very welcome to Progress Junior Golf with Content Live Golf. My name is Steve Jackson, and this is Ian Waterhouse.
Hello, Steve. How you doing? It's good to see you again in quick succession as well, because we only had a podcast last week, didn't we?
That's it. You know, with 3 weeks without one, and then with a couple in the space of a week. But we need to though, don't we? Because podcasts are important, and in particular for junior golf. And this podcast is all about junior golf. It's about the next generation of golfers. It's about trying to get more boys and girls playing the game of golf. Now, this is the 18th show. And as you well know, Ian, the 18th is the final hole on a golf course. And this is the 18th and final Progress Junior Golf podcast with myself and Ian in charge. Well, kind of. It's the last one where
I've been sacked. Steve sacked.
Yes. It's the last one where we're in sole charge, because from the next show onwards, Progress Junior Golf are joining forces with the England Golf Young Ambassadors to present a new podcast, the Progress Junior Golf Podcast. The format will be the same, so we'll still be covering lots of topics within the subject of junior golf on a fortnightly basis. But we'll get
breaking news, Steve. There it is. Just like Sky Sports, this, isn't it?
Breaking news, that's it, yes. But we're going to get some interesting guests. We'll be discussing lots of different topics. The difference being, of course, that instead of Ian and myself, we'll have some intelligent people on the show at last. So namely those.
Finally, you can get rid of me and get some proper guests on.
Absolutely. Now, it is important, though, isn't it? Exciting news, as you mentioned.
It is, yeah, it's great stuff.
But it's important that we get the England Golf Young Ambassadors on. We've had a few of them on in the past who have been very, very important towards the podcast that we've done. But it's really important that we give an opportunity to get young golfers out there to get their message across. Not just to other golfers as well, but to golf clubs, to golf organisations, because they give a completely different perspective on all the subjects that we cover. Actually, I was talking to them earlier today about some of the subjects. They were saying what we're going to be covering over the next few weeks or so, and in my head I've got about 10 or 12 subjects I'd like to cover, and I'm sure they'll have the same. They'll be thinking of things that they want to look at as well, you see. So lots to look at over the weeks and months ahead. So exciting news for the podcast. First things first, though, and this will continue as part of the podcast. It's time for the latest golf news then. So first of all, we'll start at the top level then, if you like. England boys then, they played in the annual Jacques Lezy Trophy at Blair Gallery, played against GB in Ireland against the European boys. And it was the Continentals who won for the fourth year in a row, score 13.5, 11.5. So very, very close match there. And looking at the players who were in that GB in Ireland team, some very, very familiar names, the likes of Josh Hill, Oliver McCurdy, Harley Smith, Josh Berry, Dylan Shaw, Radford, Niall Shields Donegan, Conor Graham, Tyler Weaver, and Frank Kennedy, who we might mention a little bit later on. You never know. And the reverse fixture, or the girls' fixture, which was played for the Junior Vagliani Trophy, once again, Europeans won that one. They won 10-8. They would. I think they won every single time. So they've got a pretty good record against the GB in Ireland. And once again, some cracking players in that GB in Ireland team there. Grace Crawford, Maggie Whitehead, Rose B. Kim, Marina Joyce Moreno, Isla McDonald O'Brien, and Amelia Wan. So really strong side there, and sounds like another cracking match. So two really good matches there between.
I'll tell you, don't you think, Steve, in this country, in England, we've got a real talented pool. Like the next crop coming through, you just wheeled off there Rosie B. Kim, Amelia Wang, Maggie Whitehead. We haven't even mentioned Lottie Woad and players like that. Like the future is so exciting, isn't it? Like over the next 5 years, I'm so excited to see golf in this country just elevate to that next level, because I really think we've got the players. We've got a wave coming through, a crop of players, both for boys and girls coming through, who've got a real opportunity to go and almost dominate on the global stage.
And absolutely. And also, by playing against these top Europeans as well, that can only enhance them as well and give them more experience of playing. Both of those two matches were both played in this country, but presumably they play over in Europe, the opposite fixture every other year, I suppose. So, great opportunity for them to test themselves in top quality events. Right, staying with the Eton Talbot. This was won by Andrew Heswell. He returned to form, scores a 68 and 65. I think the 65 actually was a course record actually as well. So well done to him for breaking the course record. Northern Junior Golf Tour, we've had them on the podcast previously, friends of the Progress Junior Golf podcast. They've had their grand final today, played at Ramside Hall. In fact, two grand finals, one for the for the players playing 18 holes, and a rookie tour grand final as well.
Cool.
Lots of different age categories, so I can't really go through all the winners there, but the main ones that I saw, actually both from under 12 players. This in the main category, best gross score from Millie Hickson. Bear in mind she's in the under 12s, of a 2 over par 76. So there's some talent coming through there. You mentioned some of the players at the top level of the amateur game. That's one to watch out for. Best net score was Shanghai Juan with a 5 under par net 67. Now, Rookies Tour, though, I'll tell you the second best net score. That came from George Ovenden, 12 under par. The best net score was 17 under par for 9 holes. His gross score was 1 under par, 35, and that was Leo Taylor. So well done to
Leo. Yeah, for great stuff, Leo.
Absolutely. Now, I actually saw Leo play early this week because he was playing in the Founder Series, because the Founder Series had a new event which took place at Mossam Hall. They've started a new event, an under 12s competition, includes qualifying spots to go and play in the World Championships over in San Diego. Now, I think we've got some photos from the event there, because it was a really there are the winners there, and some cracking scores as well to go with them. There was different age categories. There was under 7s, there was under 9s, obviously under 12s. That's the winner of the under 12s. Actually, that's the overall winner, a lad called Ellis Courtnell. So it was a par 75 golf course. And he made it the 7 par 5s on that golf course. And to say about making the most of the par 5s, he birdied 5 of them.
Wow.
Including the 17th and the 18th hole to win it there.
That's some trophy as well. It's almost as big as in that.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story, because I was a bit cruel to him because it was quite heavy as well. So I said, "God, look, put it on your head." And you should have seen his face when he was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to have to put this. I'm going to drop it. I'm going to drop it." You see. And his sister, I presume it was his sister, came over to him afterwards and said, "We think you're one of those people over in Africa who can carry the water on the top of your head. You'll be quite useful out there." You see. So
we've got another picture too. There we go. Look at that. How nice is that?
Well, I tell you what about that. The thing about that photo was the fact that it only tells you half the story, because she was actually skipping down the fairway, and I think that when I came off the golf course and I said to the guys from the Fowler Series, I've got a photo which I've never seen on one of your events before, a player skipping down the fairway before holding hands with the caddy kind of thing. So that was a girl come all the way down from Scotland to play in the event as well. So, and she won one of the prizes as well. So well done to her. It was a fantastic event, and I think everyone really enjoyed it. So the hope is, obviously, that's the first year that they've done it. They'll try and carry on and bring in possibly more events and make it bigger for next year. Hats off as well to some of the local tours as well, the Tommy Fleetwood Academy, the Northern Junior Golf Tour, who promoted that as well and tried to get some of their players playing the event as well. And I think that's important. It's something which we've stressed quite often on the podcast, isn't it? The fact that if you work together, don't just go along the lines of, this is our tour, this is our junior event.
Yeah.
If you work together, you get more players playing in the field, you get more opportunity for more players to play in different competitions, and it can only grow the game.
Well, we did touch on that last week, didn't we, in last week's podcast?
Absolutely, you see. Yeah. So and hats off to those guys there who let their players. And also, I took some photos of those people there, and they're wearing their caps, they're wearing their, the Northern Junior Golf Tour, or the champion of champions. Michael Gallagher, who's been on the podcast previously, I'm going to send him the photo there saying, wearing your kit at some of these other events, you see. So it helps promote all of them, doesn't it, you see? So that was on the Monday. That was just a one-day event, that was. On the Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, another Fowler Series event. This is the last one of the ones which is taking place in this country. Grand final coming up later in the year. This took place in Wales at Rutland Golf Club. I'll give you the 2 boys winners. Doug Christopher won the under-21s. Daniel Price won the under-16s. But if I told you that the girls absolutely dominated this event, I mean, I'm saying, look, you've been to plenty of these events I
was at Rutland last year, so I know the track very well.
Absolutely, yeah. So also the grand final, the 2 grand finals that held last year, won by 2 girls. Yeah. Well, the top 4 players in this event were all girls as well. The under 16s was won by Ava Bates, and she just missed out on the top prize by 1 shot to Anna Dawson. And Anna Dawson shot a 64 in the second round, and that only tells half the story because the 64 is 8 under par.
Wow.
She went out in 3 under par, 5 consecutive birdies in the middle of her back nine, par the last 3 holes, and that is a course record.
There she is. There is Anna. Congratulations to her. That is sensational. Another name
absolutely
to remember as well.
Certainly one to watch out for. Yeah, and I mean, obviously you were there last year. They've actually changed the course around. They've switched a few of the holes around. So although we went into the pro shop and said, "Is this a new course record?" And they said, "Well, it definitely is because obviously it's a different course." But I reckon that was probably beat the old course record anyway because they haven't actually changed any of the holes. They've just moved them around into. So, for example, the 18th now is a par 3 hole, whereas you remember it from last year.
Yeah,
it was I think it was a long par 4. So well done to her anyway. Moving up to Scotland, then that was obviously Wales. In Scotland, Junior Tour of Scotland had an event at Brora. Boys winner there with scores of 67, 69, and 71 was Lewis Seath from Muckhart Golf Club. The girls winner. And this is interesting because they were level actually going to the final round with another player. Anna McKay won scores of 8. This is talking about peaking. This is 80, 74, final round of 69. Last 8 holes, 6 gross birdies.
Oh, well done.
That is the way to win a competition. In the end, level going into the final day, won by 10 shots.
Wow. So, could change.
Right. Absolutely. Right. Final story then. And this is one which is not really anything to do with results of competitions, but this is a 5-year-old. This is a 5-year-old golfer called George Hughes, and he became the youngest ever recipient of the England Golf Heroes Handshake Trophy. And the reason why is because he's helping raise, there he is picking up his trophy, helping raise £100,000 he's aiming to raise for Freeman Heart and Lung Transplant Association in memory of his dad who died after an unsuccessful transplant a couple of years ago. He's already raised He's already raised £23,000. They had a golf day, the Dave Hughes Memorial Golf Day at his home club, Wigan Golf Club. So really well done to him.
Oh, fantastic stuff! What a young man! What an inspiration!
Absolutely. And let me tell you as well, the interesting thing about this is that I was reading the story about it, and he said he took part and they beat the drive competition at the first hole. So I'm just intrigued to find out how big his drive was on that first hole, kind of thing, is that because he probably would beat me and you.
I was going to say, do we know how far he hits it?
Yes, yeah. But I tell you a story. I ran an event a few years ago whereby I had 2 6-year-olds playing in the competition, and it was a pro-am whereby we had a pro. And there was a couple of amateurs, a couple of juniors, and an amateur basically who was a sponsor who paid for the 2 juniors to play alongside the pro. We had a pros prize and we had a junior prize. Well, I had 2 6-year-olds on one hole, little par 3, and we got the pros to pay £5 to beat the 6-year-old. We put the 6-year-old off about 30 yards away from the green and sent the pros off 180 yards. And let me tell you, the 6-year-olds absolutely whooped them.
Yes,
I don't think any of the pros managed to get it inside their shots, but I tell you what, the pros loved it. The fact that they got these 2 young boys kind of thing and had the opportunity to have a good laugh. And we made, I think we had, I don't know how many teams we had now. I think we made 120 quid off the pros that day, So yeah. So hats off to the pros, but also it's a bit of inspiration there for clubs out there of different ideas that you can use in events, and
that's
bring
a really
in
nice
juniors.
idea. I like that.
Simple, isn't it? It's the kids loved it, and the juniors. Let me tell you, that was the 9th hole. If the back 9, if the pro got beaten badly, the kids who were playing alongside them were taking the mickey for the rest of the round, kind of thing. You see. So anyway. Great story there, and I think that's a perfect link into what we're going to be talking about, because the Heroes Handshake is one of the inspirations from England Golf. The young ambassadors are very heavily involved with that. We mentioned them earlier that they're going to be involved in the podcast for the next few weeks, months, and hopefully years to come. But it's important that there is a massive association between England Golf and the Golf Foundation, and it was something which we wanted to. It's a subject which has cropped up quite on a few occasions, what the Golf Foundation do. I think it was important that we did a full podcast on it, because they are a massive charity. They've been going for, I think, 70 years. I think it's their 70th anniversary, which is incredible how long they've been going. So I think it was important that we give them the opportunity to tell us, because I wasn't exactly sure what they did, tell the golf industry out there what they do and how they can help junior golf and how they can help develop this game. So I had a really good long chat with one of the regional development officers, Alice Lowe. I think the first question they asked her was what is the Golf Foundation all about? What do they do? So let's hear. We'll have lots of interviews with her. Here's what she had to say.
Let's hope, Steve, they're in the right order.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Foundation is a national charity for junior golf, and we introduce children to golf from all backgrounds, and we aim to create golfers. So the reason we do this is because we know that golf can change lives, and we really want to give more young people a chance to have a go who otherwise wouldn't get an opportunity to play golf. Often it is sort of relatives and people who already know adults playing golf who start off within clubs as juniors, but we realise there are many young people out there that would want to have a go and could be the next superstar or just fall in love with the game, and we want to make sure that they are able to have access to enjoy the sport as well. So as a charity, we work with schools, community groups and golf clubs to enable those sort of pathways to come together and to introduce more young people to golf.
So when was the charity set up then?
1952, and it was Sir Henry Cotton who originally sort of went out into the schools and just started doing this. So it evolved from there, and it's just grown into an organisation which covers not just England but Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, all getting involved in our initiatives. And across the country there are 7 regional development offices like me. So we each have an area where we sort of try to make a difference. I cover the West Midlands, so 6 counties sort of from Derbyshire west, and we're working with different organisations, obviously very closely with England Golf and the PGA. We get supported by the RNA in terms of funding and sort of that sort of financial backing. They're one of our core funders, and a lot of the programs we run with the clubs is through our Golf Routes program, which is supported by the HSBC. So they sort of fund and support our program there. So as a charity, we have got a lot of backing. People see that the work we're doing is really worthwhile and it is making a difference.
Is it aimed at golf clubs? Is it aimed at individuals? What are the schemes which you put together?
The Golf Foundation and England Golf have a junior golf strategy, and we work really closely with them to ensure that for young people there is a pathway all the way through from first having their initial touch of a golf club all the way through to becoming, if they want to be, an elite player and a golfer for life. So the Golf Foundation sort of do focus on that initial introduction to golf. So our expertise are around using our adapted equipment, which is called Golfway. We've got sort of plastic and adapted clubs that we can use with schools and community groups to give young people that first introduction in a very fun and team-based sort of informal way that will really sort of inspire them. So I suppose one of the sort of first products or programs we have is our primary school program, which is relatively new with the Golfway equipment and all the resources that have been developed around that. So we have got packages for schools, which in some circumstances it's a local club PGA pro that would go into the school and deliver this. So we would train the coaches up to go and actually provide a really great first experience within a school or within a community group setting for young people, which gives them the basics in terms of golf skills and also life skills. So ensuring that they understand how actually getting involved in a sport like golf can improve their mental health, and also the transferable skills that they can take back to the classroom with them as well. So around focus, concentration, and things like that. So that is like quite an all-encompassing primary school program that we run. And with that, the alternative is to train up teachers within the school as well. So actually, the regional development officers like me go out and run workshops to ensure that those teachers that do deliver the curriculum sessions do understand that golf can be a realistic and enjoyable and easy sport to run within PE lessons, so that actually the children are given a chance to have a go within their own environment of the school as well. So I suppose that's a huge area around our sort of start programs. It's like that initial taster of golf in schools. We've got a secondary school equivalent as well, based around, again, more that sort of mental toughness training side of golf delivery as well. So the tools that you get through golf, that's a huge thing at the moment for schools. So that's something that we're focusing on in secondary schools through our Unleash Your Drive program, which is, yeah, like I said, around that mental toughness topic as well. So yeah, that sort of like covers the schools and community group side of things. Where we then look at that transition into golf clubs and work with the England Golf Club support officers, we've actually got our HSBC Golf Route Centre programs, where that is about accrediting clubs who are doing great work with juniors. They get the opportunity to get involved in our initiatives such as the Junior Golf Passport, the Golf Sixes League, which is a great team format that young people at clubs who are only really just getting out on the course for the first time can be part of a team, and clubs compete with each other locally in that Golf Sixes format. We've got other resources that sort of, you know, around retention as well. But yeah, it's about providing sort of a support based on what different clubs need as well. So we would sort of sit down and have meetings with them to really understand where we can support individually, because we know that not every golf club is the same. So for some, it might be around the coaching side, using our Junior Golf Passport to enhance what they can do at the club. For others, it might just be getting those links to schools and working with them on outreach work to give more young people a chance to come to the golf club. And there is sort of funding associated with that sort of work as well, if clubs are looking to host events and things like that for local community groups and schools. So yeah, there's quite a lot to it.
There is quite a lot to it, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that was Alice Lowe talking about schools and how they get involved with schools and things like that. I mean, how did you start? Because school golf wasn't available for me when I was growing up.
No, it wasn't for me either, actually. And just before we do that, she talks about getting involved. If you are watching this podcast, do get involved, by the way, as well. Comment below. We can see your comments. Do get in touch with us. If you have a question, comment below. We can see it. If we can't answer it during the podcast, we'll always look back, won't we, as well? And if you do want to find out more about Progress Junior Golf, you can, because there's a link in the body of this broadcasting. There you go. Nice little plug there. And let's get back to it. Right, golf. How did I get into it? It was my dad. Actually, he's a member up at Farnham Golf Club for pretty much forever, and it was actually at the Fleet Pitch and Putt where he used to take me, and that's how I first got into playing the game. School, never even heard. It wasn't even, you know, it was school for me was football, rugby. I think we did hockey, and that was it. You know, golf wasn't even mentioned. So it's nice to hear Alice there talking about getting golf into schools, because I see this across a lot of sports as well. Get them young, get them young into it, and then let them decide whether they want to take it on from there. There's not enough PE for me, but anyway, that's a completely different podcast.
And it's interesting the fact that schools working with golf clubs as well, and working in association with the golf families as a whole unit, not just like a standalone.
But good on them for doing it, because a former guest of ours, Aaron Cox, of course, who's been on the show, he's big into that. He goes into schools and he just goes in and tries to get the kids involved, and he makes the club available. And this is what the Golf Foundation are doing. They're making it accessible for people when they think they might have thought, I don't know how to get into golf. I don't know what I'm doing with it. It's a lot easier to kick a ball. Whereas it's great that the Golf Foundation are going in and actively going, just come down. It's easy. We can make this available for you.
Let's hear more then from Alice then, because that's just only part of what the Golf Foundation does. Let's hear a little bit more about what they do for junior golf.
Definitely. Diversity within golf is a huge remit for us, and we have got certain projects where we are targeting girls, for example, or those that maybe are from a more deprived background. We've got sort of inner city projects, and we work again, for example, just through this summer holidays, the local sort of holiday activity and food programs that around sort of ensuring that children are getting meals through the summer and activity and things like that. We are part of a lot of the network around in Birmingham, for example. We had a festival just yesterday for all these community groups, and that's just one of many things we're doing to try and diversify the types of people within the sport.
If a golf club comes to you and goes, well, we'd like to do it, but we really don't think it's worth it, how successful has it been?
Yeah, I mean, we've got better and better at sort of tracking our successes, and we've got some brilliant individual case studies of young people who have started off through their school and are now competing for a college in the States, for example. And one of our young ambassadors, she started off at school and is now at university doing very well with her golf too. So I think there are some great individual examples like that, which shows that golf clubs should really be looking a little bit further afield to introduce more young people to golf, because it certainly doesn't just need to be coming from the current membership. But there's a lot of evidence that shows how golf doesn't just necessarily provide people with a sport that they can play forever, but it can change their lives and actually get them involved in something which helps their mental health. And we've got a lot more research that we've done around that as well now. And for golf clubs, if they're kind of questioning whether they should be prioritizing juniors, I'd say that, everyone's got to do their bit. They're going to be moving around, not necessarily staying at one club. They go off to jobs, college, university, but eventually will hopefully get back into golf, wherever that may be. And if everyone does their little bit, I think you're certainly safeguarding the sport for the future. And also, if the clubs that we work with that are doing really well in terms of junior development and are getting a lot of young people into the sport, they tend to attract a lot more adult members too, sort of parents that used to play that now have the excuse to get back into golf. They take up membership. So if clubs are questioning whether it's financially a good thing to get involved with, we'd argue, looking at some of the better clubs more proactive clubs we work with, a junior recruitment is actually a bit of a tool to recruit adult members as well, because you get a lot of families joining, and it just changes that whole atmosphere, the environment of a golf club. It becomes a lot younger, a lot more, a sustainable club if they're getting more young people involved.
Just give us an idea about how you can help golf clubs as well, because you mentioned how the fact that you do have funding which is available to golf clubs.
Yeah, so we have a network of HSBC golf route centres. So any club that is interested, whether that's coming from a junior committee or a PGA Pro, or hopefully the whole club will see junior golf as a priority at this point, but they can register their interest through an online form that you can find on the Golf Foundation website. So this is something that both the Golf Foundation regional offices and the England Golf Club support offices will see that a club has registered their interest, answered a few questions, and are serious about junior development and are looking for some support from us. We would follow up then with either a face-to-face or virtual meeting around what it is that we can offer, and we can start to understand what the club are looking for, whether that is sort of ideas and sort of contacts for getting a recruitment drive going, whether that is a little bit of funding to spend, or more just sort of case studies and best practice examples. There's obviously a whole wealth of support around safeguarding and the governance of junior sections as well that England Golf can provide, but really it's about just getting in touch, and through that expression of interest form we can provide bespoke support. provide you with the Golf Route Centre accreditation, which gives you access to the resources and funding. And hopefully over a few months or a few years, we can really support you to make a difference and reach your goals as a club, because everyone's a little bit different. For some, it'll be, you know, the best, wanting to be the best sort of club in the county for girls recruitment, for example. For others, if they can just sustain a steady number of juniors within an academy or a coaching group, then that's what they can manage at that period, at that point in time, then great. I think you've just kind of got to start to understand that not every club needs to offer exactly the same thing, and won't be able to always, with the resources and volunteers and staff that they've got, be able to do everything at once. But we can help sort of set up and work with you to provide a really realistic and quality pathway for juniors to suit your club.
Not just golf clubs, you mentioned schools as well. So is it the same way, the same pathway that they would get into contact with you, the same kind of schemes which would be available for schools, which would be for golf clubs?
Again, through the Golf Foundation website, there is a separate schools tab where you can actually register interest as a teacher, and that then again we get flagged up and we can actually connect you with a local PGA Pro who may be able to come and deliver our primary school program. The schools can either go down that route or, again, like I mentioned earlier, get trained up to deliver golf themselves. But the support that the Golf Foundation can offer is around, again, a grant towards a program where they'd be able to purchase subsidised kit, so they'd get the adapted golfway equipment at a discounted price, and also then get sort of funding to put towards a coaching package. We do look for primary schools to match fund a lot of what we do, just to sort of, you know, show their commitment, and also it provides a better package for what we can offer as well around getting a PGA Pro in to coach, as well as providing that equipment and the training too. So it's a really great value offer that primary schools can just register for on our website, and we would support to either link you with a club and a PGA Pro, or train you up to deliver the golf within school yourselves, which is a lot simpler than I think a lot believe it is. So
if someone does want to find out who their regional officer is, then where can they go? Give us the contact details where they can go to get all this information now.
Yeah, again, if you go to the Golf Foundation website, there is under contacts the list of regional development officers across the country, and it outlines which counties we cover. All that detail is on the Golf Foundation website, and hopefully, easy to navigate and find those details for the regional development officers. But any sort of forms that are completed as well via our website, they do get sifted and sort of directed to the right officer as well. So if you get in touch with anyone, you'll hopefully end up with the right person local to you.
Just to be clear, it's not just England we're talking about here as well. It is the other home nations as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it's a slightly different process for them, but Wales Golf, for example, have their own officers that do deliver some of our programs, like Golf Sixes League. That's become really popular across Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland as well. So there is certainly a chance to get involved with a lot of what we're doing, and benefit from the Golf Foundation's work across beyond England.
So that was Alice Lowe talking about the different things which they can do with the Golf Foundation, and it's interesting the fact that the diversity as well, because as we've spoken about in previous podcasts, is the fact that one golf club is very different from another, one school is very different from another. So they're very clever in the fact that there's not one set rule for all, you know, and that's important, isn't it? Because there'll be people out there who think this is not for us. Well, actually, it could be. I
think it's very important, actually, Steve, because it's not like a copy and paste job. It shows that they'll meet the needs and they'll listen. So, you know, if you are an organisation or a school or whatever looking to get involved with this, then it's worth doing it. And it sounds like it's going to be tailor-made to what you need. And that's important because, you know, she started off talking about diversity there, didn't she? And And that's how we're going to grow the game. We've just got to get as many different people involved in the game as possible. And you know, that's school is a good place to start. But it doesn't have to be at school. It could be any place you can start.
We ought to stress as well that obviously we've got the England Golf Young Ambassadors going to be joining the podcast from next week onwards. That doesn't necessarily mean we're not covering Wales and Scotland and Ireland as well. So although they're England Golf Ambassadors, we are covering the whole country. And that's what the Golf Foundation, that's what Alice mentioned there, the fact that there are regional offices throughout the whole country. So it's not just England, although England Golf is part of that. I think Alice will talk a little bit more about the Young Ambassadors. Let's just hear the next part of the interview. She might even touch upon that in the next part of the interview with her.
Current format, it was 2017, I think. So the Young Ambassadors, which is a joint initiative program that England Golf and the Golf Foundation run together. It was 2017, and it's all about highlighting the positive impact that young people can have in golf and the importance of listening to young people within the sport and giving them a voice at a national level. So I think that was probably the start of it. Really just making everyone aware how valuable having an input from young people is if we are going to, you know, take golf to the next level.
A view from a junior golfer is a very different view from a golf club, which might be different from a golf professional. So how did they get that views across? Yeah,
it is a challenge. And we work with 18 young people who range in ages of 14 to 22, I think. So again, even within that age range, you've got such a diverse group. But we do a lot around our three sort of project group areas. So we've got print media, social media, and our Heroes Handshake group as well. So they actually work to put together articles and social media posts, and also the Heroes Handshake is about celebrating other young people who are doing a great thing within the sport as a volunteer or to make a difference at a local level. And that again sort of just highlights the great things that are going on, and the Golf Foundation and England Golf support to promote all this as well as the Young Ambassadors. I think we've had some great examples of the Young Ambassadors inputting into the programs that England Golf and the Golf Foundation deliver as well. So a lot of what you see from us will have had their approval and sort of input at the very start as well. So making sure that it is relevant, it is something that young people would want to be involved with. So they do have chance to shape a lot of that resource as well. They've also been invited and done presentations to the Golf Foundation board, for example, run webinars for junior organisers that England Golf have organised, and they've been given a platform as well in the past at the England Golf General Meetings and things like that. So they have had chance to really influence in person, but also virtually. And I think over the past couple of years, the virtual side has really sort of taken off, and it's great how they've been able to get involved in your podcasts, and hopefully that's going to become more and more part of what they do as well. So yeah, we've got a real chance here and a lot of potential to allow them to inspire more people. So yeah, and I suppose the other part of it is the on the ground volunteering that they do. So these young people have in most cases been selected because they've already been very proactive either at their club or at their county in terms of helping out at events and wanting to make a difference. So, you know, that ongoing work on the ground that they do to inspire others and educate clubs, members, committees, other young people at school is vital to making sure that everyone understands how young people can make a real difference within the sport. So yeah, a range of ways that they are able to really make a difference. And their sort of motto that they've come up with is innovative, inspiring, inclusive. So they are the sort of the three words that I think encompasses everything they do. and that's something that they've been shaping themselves. So everything they do, it's all about being inclusive, inspiring, and innovative.
A lot of people look at not just golf, but other sports or other industries, and they look for inspiration to come from the adults. Now, you're kind of like flipping it on its head, whereby the inspiration can come from the juniors, can't it?
Yeah, and I think it's all about having people that they can relate to and role models that they can look up to. I think too often in golf, if you just rocked up to a golf club, you'd probably generally see older white men, and that's standard. But actually, to somebody who isn't from a golfing background and doesn't sort of necessarily feel very comfortable in every case at a within a golf club environment, to see other young people in the sport who are friendly, upbeat, talking about all the positive things within golf, and just being that sort of figurehead at the front of what organisations are doing, what clubs are doing, what counties are doing, it's so much more powerful. And I've seen it on sort of a local level as well when I've been running events. If I've got young volunteers there, younger people are just sort of it's a whole different sort of atmosphere to it, and just parents understand how important it is as well, because their children are saying, oh well, I want to be like so and so when I'm their age or older or whatever. And I think it's about having those role models on the ground, and then these national young ambassadors really being sort of the pinnacle of that. So they've gone through the volunteering side of things, and hopefully at that point they've built up enough experience and enough passion to try and influence the golf industry as a whole, not just sort of within their junior sections of their club. We want them to have a real impact across the industry. And I think slowly more and more adults and groups and organisations are getting involved and wanting to hear what they've got to say.
So how does someone become a young ambassador? Because there could be some opportunities very, very soon about how you become an ambassador.
Yes, so we are going to be opening a new recruitment window from the 2nd of September. So if you go to the England Golf or Golf Foundation website, you'll be able to find information about what it means to be a young ambassador, your roles and responsibilities, what the types of things you might get involved in, the types of people that we're looking for as well, around, being enthusiastic and organised and really wanting to get involved at that next level and really work as a team to influence the future of golf and everything around junior golf. So if you're aged between 14 and 22, the applications are open to you from the 2nd of September, and the closing date is the 23rd of September. It's an online application, which involves a bit of writing and answering some questions. You'd be required to get a couple of references as well. And there is also part of it which is a video interview as well. So you have to answer a couple of questions on video as well. And then the next stage from that would be an in-person recruitment day. So we'd be inviting sort of a short list to spend a day with us.
It's a wide range of different people that you're looking for. So it's not one specific type of person. It's not, you're not just looking for boys, you're not just looking for girls, you're not just looking for disabled golfers, you're not looking for ethnic minorities. It's you're trying to look at it from all different aspects, aren't you?
Yeah, we do really want a wide range of types of young people. And one thing I would stress is this is not at all about your ability, your golfing ability, or even like how long you've been playing golf. Even though you need to have a passion for golf, it's great to have different perspectives on the group. So some people who might have been playing since they were 5 years old, others that are newer to the game and actually have a more relevant, sort of more recent experience of getting into the sport. So don't think that you've got to be a good golfer. It's nothing to do with that, and it's nothing to do with almost the playing side. This is not what it's about. It's about that passion to change and challenge perceptions of young people in golf, whether that's sort of the passion you have around girl specific or, like I said, disability golf. We've got a range of amazing opportunities for all types of young golfers within this. So I think as long as you are a proactive and enthusiastic person, then please do apply. And yeah, I started off as a volunteer in golf and I had no idea that it would get me into a career like this. So all I could say is I'd strongly recommend you give it a go.
Well, there you go. Strongly recommend you give it a go. I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely, and by doing that as well, you get yourself possibly to come on this podcast as well. So there can't be any more. There can't be any more of an incentive. Now I have got an interview with someone who is a young ambassador at the moment. I think we actually got another clip as well with Alice. I'm going to give you a little bit of time because I think I've got the order on my round. So we might actually hear from one of the young ambassadors at the moment who's going to talk about her role within the Heroes Handshake. I'll just tell you a story though, Ian, because I was actually there when they initially were thinking about ideas about how they were going about trying to get messages across to kids. And they were thinking about possibly doing something on these lines to reward kids and things like that. And it was fascinating being in that room. I was doing some video footage for a documentary about junior golf. And it was fascinating watching these young ambassadors sit there and come through the ideas of how they thought they would be able to go about doing it. And they came up with this idea. And this was, I think it was about 4 years ago that we did this. Did this video, and it's great the fact that it's actually come to fruition now. We saw in the news earlier about the young 5-year-old who's become the youngest ever winner of these awards. It's fantastic the fact that they've had the opportunity to do it, and it's coming through. You know, they are now giving opportunities to people and rewards as well. I think we do have an interview there with one of the young ambassadors, Katie Amos, who is someone who I know very well, who's come through the ranks in my home county. I had a quick chat with her about what the Heroes Handshake was about. Let's hear from Katie.
I've been a young ambassador for 3 years now, and I got through Northampton Golf Club, introduced me to it, and then the Young Ambassadors is a group of 22 of us at the minute, and we're looking at overcoming the barriers in golf, such as like the old stereotypes of females not being in the clubhouse, getting juniors heard more, and just making the game better for the future.
One of the things which you have been involved with is the Heroes Handshake. So just explain what the Heroes Handshake is about and why it was set up.
So the Heroes Handshake was set up by us as a young ambassador, and it is an initiative to recognise young people in golf that are doing well. So it could be just getting their first par at a young age, or standing on a committee, voicing their opinion for their junior section, and it is unique because it's juniors awarding other juniors.
How do you select someone like that? Because presumably there are lots of juniors out there who do great work for junior golf.
So there is a board of us, well, a group of us, for England Golf and the Golf Foundation, and each month we sit down, we look at the nominations, and we come to a decision and pick that, and then we will go to their club and surprise them. They'll have their friends, family with them. So it's quite hard each month picking, because there is so many good individuals that are standing out for hard work that people don't know about.
Give us an idea then of some of the things which people have done and the reason why they've been nominated.
So recently, our August winner, this was a 5-year-old boy, and he's raised a lot of money for Charity Day. He's raised over £75,000. We've had another girl, she's stood up on a committee, and she started a junior academy at her course, which wasn't there when she started as a junior, but she thought it was needed, and now she's older, she's made that happen. And then for another example, we've had someone get their first par, and they've just started playing golf off of 54 handicaps, so we thought that was good of them.
If there's someone out there watching this, whether it's a junior golfer or whether it's a golf club who thinks that there might be someone who deserves this award, how do they go about getting in touch with you to get them nominated?
So you can either go on England Golf's website, and there is a link on the Heroes Handshake page which takes you through a nomination form, and you fill it all in. You put the details about the person you're nominating, why you think they're being nominated, their achievements, and how they've inspired other juniors within golf. And then the other option is to message us privately on our Instagram account, Young Golfers, and then you can put a nomination through there.
Nice.
Okay. Now, the first thing I have to apologise is we have to apologise to 5-year-old George Hughes there, because earlier on I said that he only raised £23,000. He's raised £75,000. I got it slightly wrong. He raised
fact check.
He raised,
fact check.
I know he raised £23,000 on that one event. So he raised so he went from presumably then about 50,000 up to £75,000 just on that one event. So hey, look, he's been doing it for a little while and he's raising a lot of money. So and that's the reason why he got the Heroes Handshake. So really well explained there by Katie, exactly what they tried to do and some of the people who've been involved. And we're going to hear another little clip here from Katie, because obviously we are talking about these young ambassadors and about getting involved. So perhaps Katie, I think she might have a little bit of advice for someone who may want to become one. So let's just hear again from Katie.
Steve, I've only got one video for Katie.
Okay, in which case then let's we won't hear from Katie then. Well, we'll hear from Katie next week. We'll hear from her when we got the young ambassadors on, her advice about why you should get involved. Let's hear from Alice then, because Alice, we keep on mentioning about the young ambassadors getting involved with the podcast. And I've been in long discussions with them, and with obviously your help as well, of trying to get them involved, because we feel it's really important, the fact that we give them a voice, and it'll help us as well try to promote the game as well. So let's give ourselves a slap on the back. Okay, then Alice is going to say some nice things about it. So the reason why people should be involved in our podcast.
It's just an ideal partnership, really, because hopefully the young ambassadors can benefit from this by improving their confidence in speaking and talking about everything that they're doing, and the audience that you're able to sort of promote it to is absolutely brilliant. So if the young ambassadors are able to help share their ideas and thoughts around golf and different topics here, hopefully there'll be golfers, both juniors and adults out there, parents, golf club volunteers, staff and managers who will sit and listen to this and hopefully take on board some of the things that these young people are saying, and that you're helping them to share, Steve. Because I think, if people take just one thing from each podcast, I think it could still make a huge difference to what is being delivered out there and how young people are getting introduced to golf. So hopefully as well it will inspire clubs to actually consider asking the youngsters at their club what their thoughts are too, because if they kind of see how much sense young people can talk and do talk, and how much they are switched on around the sport and are often overlooked, I think clubs can take that away as well, that they should be listening to their own young people.
Oh, very nice.
Absolutely, such compliments there. Now, I'm going to get a mention here for someone who's agreed to be on the podcast in a couple of weeks' time. Is someone who's been through the Young Ambassadors program and has now gone on and is working in the golf industry. Is working at a golf club, and I rang them all the other day about something completely separate, actually, about talking about coming on the podcast. And between the two of us, we were talking about junior opens and about hosting an event. And just on the back of that, he said, yes, we'd be interested in hosting a competition. Now, immediately, just on the back of the fact that I knew that he was an England Golf ambassador, I knew it was someone I could work with and deal with, because I knew it was someone who could think along those lines and think and work in the right way. So I think that's inspiration there. Just me standing there and going, yes, this is someone I want to work with, because I know that I'm going to get the right answers. I'm going to get correct, clever, looking at it the right way, looking at it in different aspects, that someone who's working for a golf club, so obviously someone who can go with a golf club angle, but can also look at it from a parent's and from a junior's point of view as well. And I think it's something which I'm sure is going to crop up in conversation as and when we talk to these young ambassadors, that Alice mentioned there the fact that it hopes that it takes at least one thing from each podcast. I would hope that it take a little bit more than that. But that's the point, isn't it? Is that it is an opportunity. We said this right away at the start of this podcast, is that juniors can give a different angle, they can give a different perspective, and it's something which clubs and the whole golf industry needs to listen to.
Yeah, more people are able to have a say now, than even platforms like this podcast, and with social media, everything's more accessible than it was 20, 30 years ago, 50 years ago when you were growing up, Steve.
Thank you. 40, yeah.
but that's only going to help, though. That's only going to be a good thing, being able to have a say, have a voice, having podcasts, having the opportunity, having social media, having ambassador programs with England Golf, and having the support of the Golf Foundation. These things that haven't been around. I mean, look, let's not kid ourselves. We've done pretty well in the UK at golf, over history. We have the home of golf up at St Andrews in Scotland. We've always had a competitive Ryder Cup tip, well, usually. But we've always got a British player in the top 20, usually multiple British players in the top 20. So the game is in good health. This is only going to make it even bigger and better for where we are with things like podcasts, things like young ambassador programs, Golf Foundation, social media. It's only going to help.
And you mentioned as well, people can whilst we're having these podcasts, people can get in touch and ask questions, things like that. Like I say, we are going to be doing these shows with the young ambassador. If anyone's got any ideas about subjects which they think that we should be covering, please get in touch, because we're more than happy to go down different angles and look at different subjects. And some of the ones which I want to do one on safety in junior golf, because I think it's a massive issue. It's cropped up a lot in my own personal, the events that I've been covering and organising in recent weeks. The fact that it's becoming more and more of an issue, just simple things like parents' involvement and safety of golfers. I think I mentioned to you, I covered an event recently whereby we had to call the event off after 12 holes because it was too hot for kids out there, you see. So the safety of juniors out there is something which I really want to touch upon. This week I was at the Founder Series event talking to the referees then. I really want to do one of the rules within golf, because when things go badly wrong as far as rules are concerned and players get disqualified, which there was another event I was at recently whereby, and I'm not joking when I say this, a quarter of the field were disqualified for making a fairly elementary rules error, which if one person had gone, no, we can't do that, that would have been okay for all of them.
That's a great topic, though, because maybe the rules shouldn't be maybe the rules should be a bit easier if you're a junior. Come on, rules is, the rule book in golf is, anyway.
Well, you'll know as well as I do that the referees, when I mentioned, fun enough, almost exactly the same thing that you just said word for word. When I mentioned that to the referees of the Faldo series, one of them went, "Rules are rules," was his answer, kind of thing, and it's like, but, you
don't want to turn people off. You don't want people to cheat, but you don't want to turn them off from the game either. When at junior level, you want them to play the game, you want them to enjoy it, so don't make it too difficult. And some of the rules are a bit stiff in golf, aren't they? They're a bit archaic.
But I think we're going to have a bit of fun with that, because we'll have a few rules quizzes and we'll get me and you answering some of these questions whereby I know for full well I haven't got a clue what.
I'll ask the questions.
So. you can be the quiz master for that one. But that's just one. I'd like to do one on how to run a junior open, because with the experience that I've been doing when I've been running them, there's a way to do it which can work well at certain clubs. There's a way whereby it doesn't work quite so well at other clubs. So there's no perfect way of doing it, but there's advice whereby we can give to people along those lines as well.
We must say that, Steve. This is an interactive podcast, by the way. If you are listening back, not live, then still comment, because we're on social media, so we will pick up your comments. Do get in touch. This is not just you have to sit there for an hour and just listen to us two talk. This is about you guys too. So please do, if you have something to say, please do comment below. We can see the comments, even if it's after the podcast. Comment, it will still flag up for us that you've commented, and we will see it.
And we will act upon it as well, because like I say, there's so many things that we can cover, and even within this one podcast we talked about the Golf Foundation. If someone has a question, we can then put it to them and try and find out. We can answer it in the next podcast. It might not be be part, might be a completely different sub that we're covering, but we'll mention it. We can put it in the news section. We can start, delving into different subjects if necessary, and get those answers back out, because we are here to help you. And obviously we need your help as well to try and get those questions which need to be answered as well. So that's what the Progress Junior Golf podcast is all about. We've done 18 so far. We've done a full round of golf in. Now we're on to another 18 with the Golf Young ambassadors. So it's going to be an exciting period of time for the Progress Junior Golf podcast. So we really look forward to the next podcast. Will be in 2 weeks' time, so mid-September, when we're going to be looking at those young ambassadors. We're going to be talking to ones who've been through the package. They can explain what happened, how they developed, what they're now doing, the ones who are in it at the moment, and obviously we'll promote as well and try and give you a little bit more information about how you can become one, and hopefully we'll get some really good ambassadors for years to come for the golf industry, not just for the golf industry as well, in life as well. I think Alice mentioned there, you learn life skills within golf, so it's something which can help all of them. But that's for podcasts to come. That's the podcast today that we've all talked about the Golf Foundation. More to come in weeks to come, but thanks very much for watching, and we will see you soon.
Take care.